I'm Jay, and this is my brother Logan.
We both have food allergies, just like Tad.
And we're still all fabulous.
My name is Alicia J. Paff, and I am the author of If I Can't Eat Flies, What Am I? And I am starting a series answering the questions that you guys are sending in. First question is the most obvious. Why did I write this? Well, that answer is multi-part, but I will try to keep it as condensed as possible. So if you've been reading my website, you know that I am a mom of multiple food allergy kids. So I guess you could start there. That is definitely part of the inspiration for the book. My kids are now teenagers, but when they were younger and growing up with these food allergies, I was constantly looking for books. We loved reading as a family. And I was hoping to find some that would tackle the subject of food allergies and make them feel just a little bit more normal for a moment in time, right? Because food allergy kids grow up feeling very different. They have to learn at a very young age that they are not as invincible as most kids feel. And that because of that, they're often excluded. So that was one. I wanted a book, couldn't find it. But then the real inspiration came one day when we were at my son's elementary school. I had to always go to every field trip, every special event in order to make sure he was safe because the school really couldn't handle that. He had multiple food allergies, multiple anaphylactic food allergies. So it was a little too much to ask, and I completely agreed and felt safer going anyway. So this particular day was a field day, and his class particularly had won an ice cream party. So I had to be there, of course. That's kind of dangerous if you're anaphylactic to dairy. And I was doing my best to make sure Logan felt included. But as those of you who are food allergy parents know, it can be very anxiety inducing, and it can break your heart because no matter how hard I tried, the reality was Logan wasn't able to be included like the other kids. Every single kid running around with melted ice cream on their hands is a possible risk. Every game, if they're all sharing the same ball, like dodgeball, and they've all been touching ice cream and they're throwing it around, that ball becomes a risk. So he was usually excluded anyway. So he was following me around, and we were doing the best we could to be active at this event. And this man came up, and he realized that Logan didn't have an ice cream, and meaning well, he took one of the cones in his hand and he handed it to Logan, and he was coming in pretty quickly. And so Logan kind of jumped back and looked at him with these big eyes. I can't have that. That could kill me. And I get it. That's a little dramatic to some people if you don't understand, but the reality was that's true. And Logan was very aware that that was true. So this man looked very taken aback, and he looked at him and he said, "A kid that can't eat ice cream? Well, that's like a fish out of water." And he turned around and kind of gruffly walked away. And I looked at Logan, and he was too tough to cry, but you could definitely see some water in his eyes. And I leaned down and I grabbed his little chin and I said, "Honey, he doesn't understand, and he's wrong, because a fish out of water will literally die. But you don't have to worry about that. You can live a full and healthy life without ever eating dairy. So that analogy is wrong." And he looked at me, and my little too smart for his own age child said, "Yeah, but it is like being a frog who can't eat flies. It's just wrong." And he kind of took off, and he leaned against a pole and kind of watched everyone else having fun. A little while later, I just asked him if he wanted to leave, and he said yes. So his siblings and I joined him in the van, and we were headed home. And I said to him, I said, "You know what, Logan?" This was my attempt to smooth over the events of the day with a little bit of humor and creativity. I said, "I like your idea. I think that could be a really good children's book. You know how we're always looking for one and we can't find one? Well, that idea, like a frog who can't eat flies, I think it's awesome because I mean, what else can frogs eat? It's, by the way, he was a science geek and he proceeded to list about 20 things. So I said, no, that's not the point. Most people think that frogs only eat flies. So if we were to do a children's book about a frog who can't eat flies because he's allergic, don't you think most people would kind of understand the concept of how that might feel to not be able to eat something that everyone around you eats? So for the rest of the ride, we brainstormed. We brainstormed how this frog might feel, what he might do. All the kids decided that he would definitely run away because he would not believe he could be a frog if he couldn't eat flies. So then we brainstormed what he thought he might be, you know, what kinds of animals he might try to be and what might happen. And we talked about what are the most common mistakes others innocently make, you know, to put food allergy kids in danger, and unequivocally decided on one. And that got his mind off it. And by the time we got home, he was fine. But that is what started this book, because that night I couldn't stop thinking about it. And at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I gave up. I knew I wasn't going to fall asleep. So I got out of bed and I went over to my computer. And by about 5 a.m., the book was written. So I might not have done anything with it right away because at the time I was raising multiple kids with multiple food allergies or special needs and was a little too busy and distracted. But it sat there until about 6 months ago or so in the pandemic, and I had an inspiration, but that's a different answer to a different question. So basically, unwittingly, a kind of grumpy stranger inspired this book.